Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 14 of the Spike Nation podcast. I'm your host, Jordan, AK 40 Licks. Joining me this week, Mr. Bannock.
Hello.
And making his triumphant return back from doing his almighty duty at the Renaissance Fair. Please welcome back Mr. Purgatory Ironworks himself, Trenton.
Hey guys, good to be back.
Trenton, so good to see you again. You know, we missed you so much. There's been a lot going on at Spike Nation when you've been gone.
Yeah, apparently so. Like I said, I'm stuck between here and Atlanta, running back and forth, and I get to hop on intermittently. But yeah, apparently there's been an uproar.
There's been quite an uproar. There's been a lot of original content being posted, and there's been a lot of arguments happening in the Spike Nation post. So, Trenton, why don't you tell me a little bit about arguing and what you expect from your fellow Spike Nationals?
Well, I'm gonna be a bit of a elitist here, and I'm gonna go ahead and make two different classes of people that are on Spike. There are all of us that come here have kind of a similar thread. We tend to be terribly irrelevant. Irrelevant as far including irreverent.
Most of us are irrelevant.
Absolutely. But the biggest thing in all this is simply the fact that there is a way to make a good argument, and I'm going to refer specifically to a conversation that I had with Berg over gun laws. Now,
Wait, you're saying that Berg did not have a good argument, sir?
I'm saying that
this is outlandish thinking, Trenton.
And again, it is, and I wanted to be fair to the fella because he made a point. He put a good video up.
Yeah, and let's be honest, we didn't reach out to Berg, to get his opinion, so we don't want to blast him on the podcast. But that's why we're also here.
Well, I kind of am, because I want to. I know, and again, and I'm not doing this to be nasty, but I'm doing this to point out the difference between when somebody has a good argument and somebody who is running their mouth. And all of us do both. But, Bannock here, he and I are almost polar opposites when it comes to guns. I mean, we are absolutely polar opposites. But the idea between a good discussion over a video is the fact that we are all trying to come to a better understanding of the issue at hand. It doesn't necessarily mean we're all going to come out on the same side of it. But when you present an argument and you bring facts and evidence for your stance to the table, it does two things. One, it educates you on the issues, and two, it gives you an understanding of the other side. And that's why debate and discussion is important.
Yeah, exactly. We're all human beings, and we all have our opinion to express, and we can all find value in everybody. It's ridiculous to discard somebody, until they deserve to be discarded, Trent. But to truly understand somebody and understand where they're coming from and know their beliefs is something we should always strive to do here at Spike Nation, and having a cohesive argument is always part of that. Now, Bannock,
Yes.
You there, sir? Oh, okay,
I'm
good.
here.
It's okay. But we always know you for your cohesive arguments. And speaking of that, this week, sir, pit bulls. I know that you have a lovely pit bull. I've actually seen it myself. And there's been a lot of, I'd say, harsh opinions.
It's not even a
being
lot.
thrown around.
I think it's two users who came in all of a sudden, or it must probably one user with two accounts. You never know these days.
What are they doing? Just showing up here and
yeah, all of a sudden, and then look,
disrespecting this house we've built.
The whole thing for me, the whole dog issue for me is as passionate as the American gun issue. I love dogs and animals. I think every single person should have a dog.
You're like the evil genius that has that doesn't care about anybody besides its dog.
No, it's the truth. I think every household should have a pet. And this whole issue when he came out with the whole pit bulls are being just naturally dangerous, and he's done doing the similar thing as a lot of people who argue with guns. Basically, he'll post to one website that's just the most biased website you could get, that's specifically meant anti-pit bull, basically.
A lot of I'm just going to throw it out here. A lot of the hate in this country based on pit bull has to do totally with the culture that owns the pit bulls, sir. So
I had that's interesting. I have not even considered it from that perspective. I mean, but I mean, again, and let me be the first one out
That's
there.
why we're here.
It is the African American community that is getting the rap for fighting dogs. Michael Vick down here, and understand that I am.
Yeah, let's not forget Trenton's down at ground zero, buddy.
Yeah, no, I am absolutely at ground zero. There's pit bulls are taking over down here, and they're mainly because of the dog fighting that's going on. But in addition to that, the local white population has picked up into it because of all the feral hog hunting. Everybody has seen the boar spear thing. Understand that one of the most popular white folk way to hunt pigs is to have these monstrous pit bulls, or what we call cur dogs, to attack them. So
attach themselves to his testicles.
It's creepy. These things. There are some of these dogs that look like a catfish with legs.
Oh man.
I mean, I was saying on my Staffy, which is more or less a terrier, pit bull, whatever you call it.
And Bannock, your dog's beautiful.
It is, but more or less, I did have somebody propose to take her to train hunting, and one of the methods they train is they train the dog to attack the testicles, because as soon as it bites the testicle of the boar,
it's like a chimpanzee.
It's insane, and the boar goes down. He's not getting up from that. That's too much pain, and especially with that jaw power. And the whole thing for me with the dog fighting thing is, like you pointed out, it's a people problem. It's not a dog problem. It's not the dog breed. The dog is dangerous. It's powerful, but so is a Rottweiler. So is a tiger.
Yeah, German Shepherd.
Exactly, they're all powerful.
Yeah, kinda. Listen, my opinion has changed within the last couple months just because of the environment. I've been, due to my recent employment, I've been exposed to a lot of dogs, and most of them have been pit bulls. And I'd have to say that they are the sweetest, kindest dogs, and it's almost all based on the owner and who owns it and the upbringing and what how you're raising these animals to act around people and other dogs. And
I'll tell you this, and this is what I think about the same thing with gun owners. 90% of people who own dogs and guns barely know how to properly take care of them. And that's my main pride for
I bet Trenton knows how to dismember his rifle.
Oh yeah, I think
every part of it, and he respects that. He sleeps next to it, calls it Veronica.
Well, and let me get in here, and this is understand, and I'm speaking for a narrow section of white people culture in the South, because understand that for a lot of us, dogs are still a useful tool. Okay, it's very different from having a pet. I grew up on the large plantations down here. Before everybody starts thinking cotton, one of the main industries in the South now is actually hunting plantations. Basically, there are these large tracts of land, 4,000 acres. Yes, there's farming on there, but the main business of these is quail hunting, deer hunting, and that quail hunting, that's a big southern thing. If you're not familiar with what a quail is, it's a small game bird. But in order to hunt quail, you have to have bird dogs. And so any of these plantations will have 30 or 40 of these bird dogs on hand at any given time. Much like Australian Shepherders, these are what they call working dogs. It's the same deal. This is still part of our culture, not because it's a pastime. It's a part of our business, and these things are dedicated tools to that business.
And to be honest, Trent, I've learned this recently as well. A lot of the products that come from hunting those go to dog supplies. A lot of the venison, there's actually antlers sold, and I know specifically they are made in America and they're made down south.
Yeah, it's unreal. And understand something. You talk about it, there's a striking similarity here with the dog fighting, because these dogs are selling for thousands of dollars because they understand that these pit bulls are not just being done for sport. These things are a tool that are making money in a gambling ring. A good bird dog here in the South will sell for $3,000. Now, this is the dog that just points at a damn bird in the bush. Okay, if you have a gambling ring that's going on where there's $70,000 or $80,000 at stake, can you imagine what a bloodline for a champion killer dog
it'd be like the way Japanese treat Kobe beef, like they treat the lineage, like they write down every father of father that's been passed down
dog
generation.
For the past 100, 200 years.
Yeah.
Well, no,
every single kill it had.
No, exactly. We have something called field trials here in the South, and this is basically where dog breeders that train these bird dogs go to run them through the paces, and they're awarded these awards, and that's where the breeding
That
stock comes
that
from.
ups their value too. Yeah,
Absolutely. So you've got this
it's
mirrored
like
culture.
winning Top Chef.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. I mean, just like prize bulls or any other prize animals, except the amount of money that these dogs make, these fighting dogs is staggering. And so part of the problem here is not that you're just fighting some sport for jackasses. You are fighting a tremendous amount of money that's tied in with the drug and the gang culture. And that's a hell of a thing to fight against.
Yeah, it's impossible. I mean, and we're talking about down south. It always happens. I always think my community's immune to something like this, and then it turns up like literally this week there was like an animal shelter holding like 30 animals that were all for like dog fighting, and this is like within 20 miles of my house. And you just think, oh my god, how are they fitting it in an apartment building? Like they're having dog fighting there. It's, I can imagine in the south where property or the vastness of it might be a little easier to, you hide mills and rings and stuff like that, how much gets away there.
And we're in the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere. I mean,
Yeah.
one of the reasons that the South is so fertile about that is because, again,
Like,
a
every rapper
plantation
has
is
a
4,000 acres.
Yeah.
There's just, we've got shit tons of land and plenty of places to hide everything. That's why weed is so abundant down here, because we got space to hide shit.
Oh
Like-
man, it's like the California mountains. Everybody's just
It's the
Throwing
only
shit
free
there.
land in the world.
Oh man. Well, so I don't know. Trent, why don't you tell us? Why don't we break this up? Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you've been and your absence, and we'll go quickly over that, and then we'll get into some religion talk. So, because I want to hear about it. I'm very interested because I love Renaissance Fair, but you had a unique role in this one.
Well, and again, assuming everybody does not know what the Renaissance Festival is, part of my work and part of the money that I have made over the years comes from me going to a show. I have a wagon that is a blacksmith's wagon, has a forge built into it, and I travel and do an educational performance at these shows. I do
Now,
5 shows a day.
Do
Go ahead.
camps and schools come in there? Is something like a lot of little kids? Like, because I remember when I was a kid, there was a lot of places like that around here that I would go see.
Well, it's a little different because, if you have some kind of like the local planetarium, that is completely based on education, and it tends to be a little hokey. I'm a little more kind of in the mud because these things are massive businesses. This entire thing is geared to make money. So it is absolutely cutthroat. It just happens that I do an educational end of it, and it gives me a lot of leeway because these people are there for the money, but anytime they can kind of slap some paint on their ass and say, oh,
Yeah.
we're educational,
Sells
historical.
more tickets. There you go.
Exactly. And so
You
it
can
gives
put
me a
that
lot of
brochure
leeway.
right in the town hall. Keep it kid friendly. Boom.
There you
Magical adventure with Trenton the pirate.
go. So this is kind of the hilarity because what happened is a friend of mine that runs something called the Pirates Cove, which is a vendor at one of these festivals that sells Bud K knives. And for those of you that aren't familiar, these are basically the overseas China made, Pakistani made, basically crap steel, but it's all the stuff that. Remember when you used to
Upsale.
go to the carnival as a kid and you got the ninja spikes, the real authentic, Asian weapons, that crap, that's what they sell. Now they have some nicer stuff, don't get me wrong, but this is a tremendous business. And he purchased a booth here at the Georgia Ren Fair. He's from Texas, and the booth was in just tatters. Basically had to load up all my contractor equipment, go up there and repair this booth, which is actually half a pirate ship. And I mean, it's a building, but the
Is
shell
that what we
of it,
saw the pictures of?
right?
Yes.
Make sure and
Well,
post
we'll
that
put 'em-
up for
we'll
everybody.
definitely do.
Yeah. So anyway, so we got through with that, and he asked me to stay on the weekends and help out because I've been playing the Pirate Blacksmith because historically every ship of sailing size had a blacksmith that was on board, so it fits historically.
Assassin's Creed lied to me. There was no blacksmith there.
Yeah, I know it. You sometimes worry why video games have to be historically accurate. That's why.
Well, I'd have to give Assassin's Creed the break. It was a fantastic game and a great pirate game. So.
But anyway, the great thing about being on the pirate ship is I get to kind of be the expert. Now, of course, it is monkey crap steel all around. There's a couple of good pieces, but I get to be there with one of my blades. I have a short sword that I did out of Damascus in African ebony. Of course, it's better than anything on there, but I get to play the expert on the steel. I get to talk shop with folks that come in. And most importantly, at a Renaissance festival, because it's emulating the 1500 era and things of this nature, all the girls are in bodices and they're all laced up with boobs poking out left and right. So yep. I get to sit, play with swords and all that kind of good stuff.
And it's all historically accurate.
Oh, and let
me
tell you,
you could be more historically accurate. Just grab them and.
I haven't seen a lot of 15th century porn, but brother, I can imagine what it was like. Okay.
It was like the Japanese invasion of China. That's
what it was like. Gosh, almighty knows.
Just very horrible.
We also we have some little things on there for like the kids. We had some collectible deals. We have the swords from the Game of Thrones series. Actually, even some anime blades. But we had some Harry Potter ones. So all one entire weekend. Everybody was so sick of me because I'd have the wands and I'd go up to some tits and go, Boobus Maximus!
And they just magically grow. That'd be the best superpower ever.
What's the most popular anime sword?
Right now, the one that we have sold the most of is actually the Attack on Titan blade.
It just premiered, I think, this last weekend on Adult Swim.
Well, let me tell you, that sword has and here's the other thing you may not know. Adult Swim is William Street, which is about 20 miles from the Renaissance Festival.
That is awesome.
And here's the really cool thing is my favorite show is called Squidbillies on Adult Swim. I'm sure.
Yeah, of course.
Well, here's the thing. One of the animators for that show is a buddy of mine, and he comes down, and we get to actually talk shop about Squidbillies and all the stuff they're doing. And even one of the ladies that works on Archer came down the other weekend. So it's very cool.
Look at you, Trenton, name dropping. Well, guys, my house is shaking from all the names that are being dropped here.
Well, it's so awesome because, for most of the year, I am down here in my fucking tin can. There's nobody my age. There's nobody of any remote interest to me. And suddenly you're at the Ren Fair. And I'm pretty well known from back in the days when I used to demonstrate up there. And so these people just come out of the woodwork. They know the stuff that I've been involved with. Some of them watch me on YouTube. I had a couple of Spike members come and meet me there at the Ren Fair.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's very cool.
Particularly awesome.
So yeah, it's really
Trenton,
good
if I'm ever driving down, I'm making a stop because I might drive down to Florida one day. I'm making a stop down to see Trenton.
Well, just stop on your way down so before you have the pickup. I don't want to get my ass caught with 10 pounds of weed.
No. I ain't a Yankee driving to Florida with any weed. Are you nuts? You can't even have me locked up in a second. Just about. If they knew I was Jewish, I'd be locked up. That's like the Cannonball Run, a Jew trying to drive down to Florida to the Boca Raton, without getting pulled over. My mom and dad had stories of driving down back in the late '80s and just them calling my dad a spick, cops pulling him over and just threatening to throw him in jail just for being Mexican or looking Mexican or something like that. Oh man.
We had a buddy of mine that's Persian. He was actually a client, and we were down here, and of course we go into a Mexican restaurant, and everybody starts talking Spanish to him, and he's just like, tries to keep his mouth shut.
I could have been outside for 10 minutes and got a tan, and you're thinking Spanish.
But anyway, so no, the Ren Fair has been very cool. If anybody is in the Atlanta area, it's in Fairburn. I'd love for you to come by and check.
Still going on?
Yeah. Oh God, I've got 5 more weeks of this. 5
Whoa, that's awesome. That's a lot more than the Ren Fair. My Ren Fair only lasts I don't know, 2 weeks here. It sucks.
Yeah, it's a long run.
Trent, you should make a special badge for any Spike member who comes and see you to give it to them.
Oh man, dude, it would be like an awesome like sword or like an awesome piece of set of armor or something.
You know, every fucking stoner on Spike Nation then decides to take a road trip.
Dude,
and
I would honestly like if I was a little bit more motivated and a little bit more ambitious in my life, like I would make a video of just like surprising you down and like, yo, Trent, what's up, buddy? Like, and just post it on Spike, and somebody out there has the means to do it, so let's do it and record it, and then just give me like a producing credit. There we go.
There you go. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of boobs, and like I said, and it's just has been eating to my time up. I mean, I haven't had a day off in 2 weeks. I just got back home. I'm 3 hours away, so I will have tomorrow to like wash my underwear, and then I got to turn around and go back up. And so that's the way it's going to be for the next 5 weeks. So, but anyway, like I said,
Well,
that's the Ren Fair report.
You sold it, Trent. A lot of fun, a lot of boobs. And thank you,
Absolutely.
Trent, because you know we like getting updates from you. We missed you, so it's good to hear that you're having fun, making money, and we like to be informed. So speaking of being informed, we're going to dive into a little topic Bannock wanted to talk about. So Bannock, you've been posting a lot of videos based on spirituality and religion. So
What?
why don't you give us your take on that?
I've been posting a lot of videos. No, I want
Yeah.
those
You're the
videos
one that
banned.
started it.
Dude, I want those videos banned from Spike Nation.
You posted the video and you want it banned. Oh,
What video?
am I confused about the video being
Yes.
posted about the
Oh
guy?
God, he's been in the Baba Koosh again.
Oh my god, dude, the
Yes.
420 podcast is still like affecting me
shit.
like long term, you know. Well-
Basically, some dude called Dharma something. Dharma, I don't know, some spiritual nonsense. He's been posting this guru nonsense with these Buddhists sitting
Oh God.
Amir Murad and the Three Varieties of Misery. Oh
So-
my god.
Someone was posting a long time ago of like some like guru. Is that the guy the like
The Oshu, and then there's
yeah.
Dvor. I don't know, it's just ridiculous, and it's so much bullshit, and it keeps getting downvoted, and the user doesn't get the point.
Well, you know what? This podcast gets downvoted a lot, and I guess I don't get the point.
Yeah, I get you, but at least it still exists, you know? It's still
No, I know what you're saying. This is people are selective when it comes to what sort of thing they want to believe, and I guess this maybe
Look.
people get intrigued by the exotic nature of a foreign religion, and I think they maybe fall trap to maybe just trying to feel unique instead of
I've
looking at it for what it is, and it's just another form of organized
organized
religion.
religion. Yeah, exactly. And
You
oh,
there, Banner?
I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I hate it when people post those videos and then expect some kind of one
Like
of the
a
users
basic-
here one of those users here was basically pointing out saying something like, oh, it doesn't matter who you are or what your other theories are. If you have some wisdom, I'll take it. It's as though he's basically trying to crop up the fact that the person thinks he has magical powers. He can't prove that he has magical powers. And the only way he can tell you that you can prove you have magical powers is if you do exactly what he does. They're all basically organized religions. They're trying to
And
take money.
there's always the cop out that, hey, listen, I've done everything you've done and I haven't experienced, the same powers. It's like, well, I guess you're just missing it,
Yeah,
I
you're not
guess you're just
playing-
not understanding 100%.
Like, explain it
I
to
guess
me.
you
At least
can't be Pope.
a scientist can open up a book and explain to you how everything's out of theory. That's why you kind of respect scientists, or even people who claim scientists. You kind of expect some level of standard that he.
Well, what about this? I think it's equally ridiculous for people to believe in ghosts, and apparently I found out that my fellow Spike people don't actually agree with me, and although they claim to be atheists, also claim that there may be some sort of spiritual incarnation of a ghost, and
if there's somebody there who believes in ghosts, he should be like locked up and then thrown in a river. or something.
I feel the exact same way.
It's-
And then I
it's-
just think about the incredible waste of time of these shows where they go and investigate these
Anyone
ghost
who
sightings,
believes,
and they're just standing in like sewage waste for an hour and a half, and it's like,
if you believe in ghosts, spirits,
and Trenton, you
Uh,
come from I guarantee around every block in Atlanta there's a hotel that advertises that it's a haunted area or
Well,
some
it's
sort
a
of-
money it's a money thing down
Yep.
south. Okay, now, but let me
Okay.
let
No,
me
this is
let
why
me
we're here,
lean
Trent. This
let
is
me
why we're here,
lean
Trent.
just a little bit because and I'm not disagreeing, but there was a video, I think it was posted on Spiked a while back, where Neil deGrasse Tyson was at some little event with Dawkins, and he was talking about hearing Dawkins, that he felt him more than he heard them because there was such a sharpness in his mind that Tyson was concerned that it was a situation of where he was so harsh with his opinion that
It was almost
it
like
wound up.
professional wrestling or something like that.
Yeah, well, it ended up being ineffective
Because
because here's the deal.
that's the argument I hear most. And listen, I'm not, I'm the biggest Dawkins fan. The guy, I have to agree with him, but his crassness,
But
it definitely is an
here's the thing.
argument point.
But in this, and going back to what I said earlier, one of the things that I hold true is that there is no opinion or position that I hold that cannot be changed with new information. As people of the internet, we are bombarded with tons of information, far more than any other humans have been presented with before. And conversely, what that means is we have to have much more improved filters on what we take to heart and what we don't. How do we achieve becoming a better person by having more truth, believing more true things than false things? And this is where having that argument comes in. If somebody comes and makes a structured argument and your response to that argument, well, you suck dick. Yes, it may be funny, it may be hilarious, but it has done nothing to answer the argument that was presented. And so, again, we can sit here and talk about ghosts and things like that, which it was more difficult for me as a young man to let go of believing of ghosts than it was for me to let go of believing in God.
Because I love reading ghost stories. I think they're the most fascinating literature. I love tales like Edgar Allan Poe, and I will always enjoy the mysticism around it. But it's not, honesty isn't always and the seek of truth isn't always pleasant.
That's right.
It's due process, and it's what has to be done. And I think it's beautiful that as humans we move past that we go through our stages and we get to acceptance, and that's maturity, my friends.
Well, it's a thing of where everybody starts out with an opinion, but in order to come to the reality of the situation, you have to consider what evidence has been brought before you. And if you don't consider that, then your opinion is no more valid than anybody else's. Again, when me and Bannock are discussing the gun thing, you will see us bring numbers to the table. We will, every now and then, an anecdotal piece of evidence which really doesn't, count for much. But when you see the numbers and then you start basing your arguments off that, you are in tune with reality. And again, if tomorrow Bannock brings me a piece of paper that says, owning guns ends up murdering 70% of the population, I'm going to say, is this evidence good? And if it is good, see, I can't get around that. I have to assimilate that into my viewpoint. And if somebody says that,
and you can still make a good argument with the evidence of truth, people are afraid that admitting to any statistic will render their argument,
well, the thing, and again, that's where it comes in, that if there is a legitimate argument made, it either has to be disproved or it has to be assimilated. There's no option there. And the problem is that when somebody resorts to attacking the person, an ad hominem argument, or takes the issue away, a straw man argument, then they have failed to make that argument. Normally when you see those two things, it's because that person does not have any evidence to back up the claim. When anybody, just like with this religious stuff, when somebody begins making appeals to emotion, the game is over. If you can't appeal to the facts, then you are already gone. You are entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to have your say, but you do not get to play in the same sandbox as people that bring evidence to the table do.
Well put, Trenton. And I don't think we can get
so
much
eloquently.
I know. It's like, honestly, I'm just gonna be completely honest here. There was a point during when Trenton talks that I'm literally on the edge of my seat, just like biting my nails, just like, is this an audio book right now? Like, am I know this guy? Like, I can only imagine that the people at the Renaissance Fair get their damn money's worth And you know what,
And,
guy?
and he does it closed with his eyes and hammering metal.
It was like he was floating there for a second, you
Jesus
know.
Christ, yeah.
Well, guys, I got to kind of wrap it up this week, but it was great getting the gang back together and talking. And Trenton, it was lovely hearing from you, and thank you for joining us again on the Spike Nation podcast. And Trenton, where can we find all the great information about Purgatory Ironworks?
The best place, I'm gonna try to be a little more responsible about updating everything, but look up Purgatory Ironworks on Facebook. I'm gonna have some pictures from the Renaissance Festival going on there, so you can see the Bubus Maximus spell. There's actually a picture to go along with that, and so you guys click in there, and I'll try to keep you updated on what's going on at the Ren Fair and just all that kind of good stuff. So.
Well, thank you so much, Trenton. Bannock, thank you so much for joining us again on the Spike Nation podcast. Oh, wait.
There he goes.
Bannock, we were so close to the end.
So close.
Well, I'm not going to end the phone call because last time it messed up the recording when I ended it. But I can speak for Bannock saying goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to look at the back catalog of podcasts, tell a friend about the website, and to donate at spikenation.com. So for Bannock and Trenton, Purgatory Ironworks, I'm 40 Licks saying thank you for listening. And if you guys are interested, please keep listening. I'm going to post my Dark Souls 2 review right after this. So, guys, thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
I am Bannock and I'm telling everybody to be good.
And
God
I
bless
hate
you.
Jews. Jews must die.
Jews very bad, but
I would kill them with my pit bulls. Goodbye, everyone.
I love peoples. Yes. Peoples are wonderful.
Thank you.
Jeez.
Hey guys, this is 40 Licks, and here's my review for Dark Souls 2. Don't fear death. Embrace it. At least in Dark Souls, that is. If you have never played a Souls game, let me freshen you up. Dark Souls started as Demon Souls, a PS3 exclusive released in 2009. It is a third-person action-adventure game with an RPG-based stat system. What makes the Souls series stand out is its brutal difficulty. There is no easy mode in Dark Souls. There is just hard, and extra hard, and in case of Dark Souls 2, extra hard, which is also the name of Bannock's favorite porno. I know difficulty usually isn't a selling point. Most companies would rather try to appeal to a larger audience than brutally beat them to death in the tutorial. But that's exactly what Dark Souls 2 does. First off, let me say the game is glorious to look at, which is part of the appeal to drive you onwards when it kicks your ass. The enemies and bosses are the heart of a Souls game, and they do not disappoint in Dark Souls 2. You will encounter enemies that are 5 times the size of you that aren't even bosses, just your average Joe bad guy, except these guys can smash your head in with one blow. Patience is no joke in Dark Souls 2. Or in fact, patience is no joke in any Souls game. Any new area must be fully explored slowly and with shield in hand, or, if you pick the new swordsman class, double-wielding great swords. I never felt cheated in any death I had in Dark Souls 2. I saw my faults, my incompetence, and I tried my best to correct it. While there are some cheated deaths based on the mechanics of the game, Dark Souls never apologizes for it, and in some cases rewards you for using their unique system to find certain areas. While being the hardest Dark Souls, by the means of New Game Plus, there are sets of armor and rings that make this entry the easiest to get into for new players. All in all, I finished my first playthrough at around 42 hours, and I still have a few optional bosses and areas to check out. I give Dark Souls 2 a 5 out of 5. Remember guys, keep your chin and your shield up, and always embrace death.